What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Patriots Real Time Podcast. I'm your host, Theo Diesenhaus. Today, we are back with another solo show. Yesterday, I did a 53-man roster projection. Today, I decided that I wanted to change a few things. So I'm going to go back, do another 53-man roster projection. And the entirety of this podcast is just going to be my 53-man roster projection. So if you want a podcast, because I know there's not too many out there right now, of just strictly 53-man roster projections, especially after the Giants game, and especially after those 12 or 14 roster cuts that the Patriots made yesterday. Well, this is it. So, let's just jump right into it. Once again, on Pat's Picker, which is on patsfans.com. Last updated August 22nd, 2025. So, that was yesterday, but because they didn't do anything today. All right, at quarterback, you're going to keep Drake May, obviously, self-explanatory. And then Mike Vrabel pretty much confirmed that Josh Dobbs was going to be on this team when talking about Ben Wooldridge being released yesterday. He said, we have to make the decision on whether or not we want to keep two or three quarterbacks. We have to make the decision on whether or not we want to keep two or three quarterbacks. So he's pretty much saying Dobbs is on the team unless they go out there and get another backup. All right. For running backs here, I went hasty yesterday. And I don't know if I'm going to continue to have Hasty on my roster. Now, Lampy is a guy who's on this list that's out for the season, so I don't know why he's on this list. But Jennings can be another guy that could make this team. It's really only between Jennings and Hasty as of this moment. You know Stevenson, Gibson, and Henderson are on the team. But do you put Terrell Jennings or Jermichael Hasty on the team? So, Andrew Callahan, a guy that I hope to have on this podcast sometime. I will reach out to Andrew Callahan, probably either today or tomorrow, asking him to come on the show because his podcast is really one of the best. So far, I've only listened to 2 of his podcasts ever, but it's really good, and I really like the way he does a solo show. He's one of the only Patriots podcasts that's a solo show, and I do a lot of solo shows. Obviously, I'm not a solo show. We also have Austin here. Well, he's not here right now, but we also have Austin on this podcast. By the way, don't want to jinx it because every time I say, Austin will be back this day, we can't really coordinate. That's definitely not on him, but hopefully on Tuesday. Hopefully on Tuesday, when the 53-man roster comes out, Austin will be back. Won't guarantee it. I will 100% be here. But will Austin? I hope so. All right, back to the running backs. Anyways, Jennings is a guy who runs hard. I didn't really love what I saw from him this summer, so I don't think he makes the team. And then Hasty's a guy who can play a little offense. He was your third running back last year. He made the initial 53. He scored a touchdown against the Jaguars. He's a good special teamer. I don't think him and Baker make the team together. So, I don't know. We'll hold off on this, and I will come back to it, unlike tight end yesterday. Tight end now. Henry and Hooper, obviously. And I think they go out and add someone. But I think that right now, Jack Westover has earned a spot on the team as the fullback. And I think he makes it by default. I do not think that Jack Westover had a good summer. I think he flashed in that blue-white scrimmage that was inside of Gillette Stadium. But I don't necessarily think that he was great at fullback. I think he was okay. I don't think he had many catches. I think he only had 1 catch in the preseason game. So I don't love Jack Westover as my third tight end / fullback. Maybe you go out and acquire a true fullback, which you thought you had in Brock Lampy before he obviously goes down with the leg injury for the entire season. So it'll be interesting to see what they do at tight end. Last year, kind of the same issue. It's like the Patriots don't have any depth behind Hunter Henry or Austin Hooper. And they end up keeping Jaheim Bell, who they cut this year, just yesterday. A lot of people thought they were going to go out and get someone. They didn't. I believe, let me pull this up real quick. 1 second. But I believe that Hunter Henry and Austin Hooper played all 17 games last year, so it didn't really matter too much. Why is it giving me the game log? Stats. That's what I looked up. Henry played 16 games last year. He didn't play the last game of the season. And then we'll go to Austin Hooper. This is a lot of work for just, it could have been just like a, and then Hooper played 17. So neither of those guys suffered any serious injuries or injuries at all last year. So yeah, it wasn't a problem last year, but you never know what could happen with injuries. Maybe Hunter Henry goes down with a season-ending injury in week 4, and you're stuck with Hooper and Westover as your tight ends. I do expect them to carry G. Scott on the practice squad. G. Scott was a guy that I wasn't necessarily too high on before camp. I kept him on my radar, but I really had C.J. Dupree over him. I thought C.J. Dupree could really fight for a roster spot. I don't think either of them really did too much to make them irreplaceable or kind of give them a roster spot during camp and the preseason. But I think G. Scott outperformed C.J. Dupree. And even if he didn't outperform C.J. Dupree, I do think he was given more opportunities and treated more like a guy that was going to make the roster over a guy like C.J. Dupree from Alabama. G. Scott was your starting tight end last year on the national champion Ohio State. And I'm not going to say that Mike Vrabel played favorites because he went to Ohio State and G. Scott went to Ohio State. But it appeared G. Scott was given more opportunities. It appeared G. Scott was or outplayed C.J. Dupree. So if there is going to be a true third tight end that they keep, I'd say G. Scott over a C.J. Dupree. But Jack Westover as the fullback, to me, is the most realistic option, and to a lot of people it is. All right. Let's move into wide receiver here. I think right now there's 6 locks, and you'll see if they keep a 7th. So I think Bourne is going to go on IR. You have 2 spots where you can place players on IR, and Kendrick Bourne will go on one of those spots. And when I'm talking about with the IR, there have been players that have been placed on IR, obviously. Like I said, Brock Lampy, Jaquelin Roy, oh my goodness, the running back from UC Davis, Lan Larison. They were all placed on season-ending IR. And I'm not saying that Kendrick Bourne's going to get placed on that IR. After the 53-man roster comes out on Tuesday, there are 2 available slots to put players on injured reserve that will not end their season. I think Kendrick Bourne will fill one of those spots. You have to be out for 4 weeks, and I think it'll give Bourne time to recover. And even if Bourne is okay to go week 2 or week 3, I don't think that he should make the roster. I think they should put him on IR, give him a little bit of time, and then by week 4 or 5, maybe, I don't know, Kayshon Boutte has a sprained ankle or something happened to him, or Mac Hollins dislocates a shoulder, out for significant time. Now you can bring in a Kendrick Bourne, a veteran guy, to come in and play for you. And I don't think Kendrick Bourne is necessarily a great player, or I don't think he was ever a great player, but I don't think he's the player that he was in 2021 or 2023. But he's certainly better than no offense to these guys, because I thought these guys were actually pretty good, but a John Giles or a Jeremiah Webb, and significantly better than a Javon Baker. But yeah, that's why I think they keep Bourne on that non-season ending IR, but the other injured reserve. So for my wide receivers, I have Stephon Diggs, a guy that surprisingly, I guess, was involved in cut rumors. mostly after the incident on the boat, but also the rumors started flying again when Phil Perry said that the team didn't like him. He then changed his stance on that, so, not exactly sure what happened there, but probably just nothing. Do trust Phil Perry, so maybe he just someone said something to him and he was kind of pushing that out there and he was like, all right, maybe, or the source was like, you know what, never mind. I don't think that happened, but something like that could have happened. Then Demario Douglas, I think he's been your best receiver throughout the entirety of camp and the preseason. A few drops against the Vikings in joint practices, but other than that, he was pretty good, pretty consistently getting open like he does every year because he's super quick and super fast and super elusive. But Demario Douglas, Kayshon Boutte, third best receiver behind Douglas and Chisholm, but we'll get to Chisholm in a second. A guy that I thought was Drake May's favorite receiver last year. A lot of stretching the field plays, a lot of deep plays. Struggled with the drops last year. But this year I don't think he's had many, if any, drops during training camp. Mac Hollins, a guy who I wouldn't say he struggled early on. I think he had maybe a bad day or two early on in camp, but since then he's been Drake May's favorite target, and yeah, he's been really, really good for Drake May. He had 3 catches in the preseason game against the Vikings, and he's been a consistent target throughout training camp and joint practices for Drake May. So Mac Hollins is certainly on this team, despite many people calling for him to be gone. Efton Chisholm now, a guy that everyone really likes. Your backup slot receiver behind Demario Douglas. And if Demario Douglas, who is injury prone, in his rookie season, he suffered 2 concussions. Last season, I believe he played, let me check this out real quick. I believe he played all 17 games, but I could be wrong. See here. Stats. So in his rookie year, he only played 14 games. 2024 played 17 games. And yeah, so if Demario Douglas does get injured, he isn't as injury prone as, I was thinking. But he missed 3 games in his rookie season and had 2 concussions. So if the injury bug strikes Demario again this year, then Efton Chisholm will get a spot. I don't necessarily know if Chiz will dress for the first 1, 2, 4, 5 games. But you need to keep him on your team. You can't put him on the practice squad because teams will scoop him up. Next up, Kyle Williams, your rookie receiver, 3rd round pick. I guess Chisholm's a rookie too, but 3rd round pick receiver from Washington State. Hopefully the Patriots use him right. And this is kind of on the side, but Kyle Williams thrived. Kyle Williams thrived in screen games and bubble screens last year at Washington State. Yes, he can be that deep threat. Everyone has seen the clip of him beating Travis Hunter off the line of scrimmage, getting open for a long touchdown. I believe that was from 2 years ago, but he thrived last year after the catch on screen passes. And hopefully the Patriots can use him this year as a gadget with so many talented players ahead. Well, maybe not so many, but I think Kyle Williams doesn't necessarily have to be your wide receiver 3, 4, even 5 this year. I think he can be a gadget player for you, like I just said. Come in, catch a few screens, maybe some jet sweeps, maybe send him on some flies a few times. But I don't think he necessarily needs to have a 80 catch season for 700 yards to be considered a success. I think he can go for maybe 30 to 40 catches for 500 or 600 yards, create explosive plays for you maybe once or twice every 4 weeks, and that's a successful season for him. I think he can score 4 times this season and called that a success. I don't think he necessarily needs to be a true wide receiver 2 or 1, like I said, not even 3. I don't. I think he can just be a gadget player. So Kyle Williams, bar is low, which I think is really good for Kyle Williams because you look at the receivers that the Patriots have drafted over the last, let's see, 5 years, 6 years. Let's start from the top or the bottom, I guess. N'Keal Harry wasn't expected to be a 1, but was looked at as probably a wide receiver 2. Behind Julian Edelman. Who else did they have that year? Yeah, they had Antonio Brown for a few weeks. Yeah, they had Mohamed Sanu. Well, I guess they traded for him midseason, but N'Keal Harry was expected to contribute in his first season. I mean, that's not the best example, I guess, but 2020, I don't believe they drafted anyone. 2021, why did I just wink? I don't know. It happens to me sometimes, but okay, that was very random. But did the Patriots draft a receiver in 2021? No, they didn't. 2022, obviously Tyquan Thornton. He was expected to be the wide receiver 2, potentially behind Jacoby Myers. I'm thinking about who else they had. They had Devontae Parker that year, so maybe the wide receiver 3 behind those guys. And that's a lot of pressure for a rookie who was undersized, underweight. So yeah, honestly, I think this is really good. Also, you look at last year, they had Polk and Baker. Polk was expected to be your wide receiver 2 last year, behind Demario Douglas. And we saw how that worked. Baker was expected to probably be like your wide receiver 4. I mean, I don't know about expected, but he was expected to contribute, and he had 1 catch for 12 yards. So yeah, not great in years past, but now significantly better. I talked about Bourne, and I don't know what's going on with my eye right now, so this is slightly concerning, but it's going to be okay, right? I'm going to battle this. But Jalen Polk, guy that's probably out for the season. Javon Baker, let's talk about him. So prior to yesterday's Mike Vrabel press conference, I would have probably had Javon Baker on my roster, and that is because of special teams. But what Mike Vrabel said about how they wanted him to be able to not only just contribute on special teams, but also as a wide receiver. And you look at how Javon Baker has done in wide receiver reps throughout the end of training camp and throughout the preseason, and it's just not been good at all. So, yeah, I don't think Baker makes the team. John Giles is Kendrick Bourne. I've talked about this 100 times. And then Jeremiah Webb, I think they should keep him on the practice squad. He was honestly not too bad. Honestly, I'd call it good from Jeremiah Webb. All right, so we have, for receivers, we kept Diggs, Douglas, Booty, Hollins, Chisholm, and Williams, and then we got Kendrick Bourne gone on IR. Okay, also, all right, let's keep moving. Offensive line. Garrett Bradbury is your starting center. I don't love it. I think they should try to add an interior offensive lineman through waivers, and honestly, that's very unrealistic, but you have to try at least, maybe through a trade. You could get a backup, older veteran guy, but that's kind of what Garrett Bradbury is. So maybe you could kind of go for a first-round pick who hasn't necessarily, not first, but a high day 1 or 2 pick that hasn't necessarily worked out for their team. And then Ben Brown. What am I talking? Then Ben Brown. But anyways, for center position, I have Ben Brown and Garrett Bradbury. Ben Brown, a guy that can play left guard, can play center. Alec Lindstrom, I don't have on the team. Really not much to say there because he wasn't expected to make the team. All right, guard, Mike Onwenu, Jared Wilson, Caden Wallace. Those are my guards. Onwenu is your right guard. Caden Wallace, I think he can play right guard. Maybe, He can fill in at left guard, I think, as well. Jared Wilson, hopefully going to be your center of the future, but this year he might be playing left guard. Ben Brown, like I talked about, also can play left guard. So you look at maybe some depth at right guard, or you look at, depth at right guard maybe as an issue, but should be okay, I would say. I don't think Robinson makes the team, a 4th-round pick from last year and a starter. I don't think Conley's done enough. I thought he was going to have a shot. Mekhi Butler, quite honestly, don't know much about. All right, let's talk about tackles now. I have 4 tackles on the team. Vidarian Lowe, Marcus Bryant, Morgan Moses, and Will Campbell. Campbell, 4th overall pick. Morgan Moses, your right tackle that you brought in to be your starter there. Vidarian Lowe, a guy who beat out Demontre Jacobs for that 4th offensive tackle spot. Marcus Bryant has been solid, I guess. So yeah. I don't have Demontre Jacobs on the team. I probably would have had Demontre Jacobs on the team 2 weeks ago, I would say. But he struggled recently, and Vidarian Lowe is the better player. And Vidarian Lowe has some experience. All right, so we got 38 guys on the offense here. So let's go to the defense. I'm going to start with special teams. Talk about the kicker. So not completely, or I don't just completely give up when kicker comes around. All right. My stupid eye is actually bugging me right now. I don't know what's going on. But it's okay. So for special teams, they have punter as Bryce Behringer, obviously. Julian Ashby's your long snapper. There's no one else. Thought Ashby's been pretty good. I thought he had one bad snap all of anything. And that was just me observing. Obviously, I wasn't at every training camp. And I wasn't really observing every single snap that he had when I was there and in the preseason game. But Doggy's looked good. Doggy's done his job. Doggy's made some tackles. So I think Ashby's been pretty good. Schooler's obviously going to be a special teamer. And then for the kicker, Andy Borgales versus John Parker Romo. Now, I did a lot on this in the last 53-man roster projection, but I'll repeat myself again. Borgales got all the reps in the kicker competition. I'm sorry. What am I talking about? Okay. I'm not doing great today, but it's okay. Let me try that again. Andy Borgales got all the reps in the final preseason game against the New York Giants. Now, I said this could mean one of two things. The first thing is that Borgales is your starting kicker and that John Parker Romo is or has no shot of making the roster, and there's no point in putting him out there. The second thing is that they wanted to see Borgales because John Parker Romo is their starting kicker, and they wanted to see if Andy Borgales could make a last effort to earn the starting kicker job, and maybe not even earn the starting kicker job, but just start a conversation about the starting kicker job where the Patriots could talk for 3 days now, I guess, about who's the starting kicker. But also you have 2 practices on tomorrow and Monday where you can determine who that kicker is going to be. So I think right now I'm leaning towards the second option. But I think right now I would have John Parker Romo as my starting kicker. Romo's outplayed Borgales. Romo hit a 57-yard field goal. And yes, you wasted a pick on a kicker if he doesn't make the team, but it's not about drafting. It's not about ego. It's not about I drafted this guy, so we got to have him on the team. It's about who is the best kicker, and I don't think the Patriots will screw this up. Not that half the regime was here when they screwed it up 2 years ago, Chad Ryland over Nick Folk, but yeah. All right, let's go to safety now. We're working backwards. At free safety, I have Hawkins as a lock, Craig Woodson's a lock and Jabril Peppers is a lock. Peppers and Woodson both playing in the preseason game just to try to get some continuity, because those are going to be your starting safeties, hopefully for the next 2 or 3 years. But especially just for this year. Hawkins has looked really good throughout camp. He's been one of my biggest surprises, or just best players out there throughout camp. All right. I'm going to add Marte Mapu as a linebacker as we move to... Oh, also, I don't have Epps on the field because I don't have Epps on the team because I thought he was not great against the Giants, and I thought he hasn't been great all summer, and he just doesn't look like a guy that's going to make the team. All right. I'm going to add Marte Mapu as the inside linebacker. I'm not going to add him as a strong safety, but at strong safety, Duggar's essentially... I think Duggar earned himself a spot on this team with his preseason performance against the Giants. He had a few nice tackles. He had the interception. I think he's on this team. I think Del Pettis can be a core teamer for you. He was good last year. He was good last year. He had a sack against Caleb Williams, and he's a really, really good fundamental tackler, and I think he's one of the best tacklers on this team. And at cornerback, Gonzo Davis, obviously. Alex Austin, really good summer, can be your slot corner. Marcus Jones can be your slot corner. I'd say he's on this team as a returner mostly, but, also as your third or fourth corner, matchup based, depending on how fast the guy is. Like a Tyreek Hill, then you start a Marcus Jones over an Alex Austin. But a bigger slot receiver like a Jacoby Myers, you start I'd probably have Christian Gonzalez on Jacoby Myers because they don't have anyone else. But let's say they had Devontae Adams still and Brock Bowers, then you have Gonzo on Adams and Davis on Bowers. Then you have Alex Austin on a bigger slot like Jacoby Myers. DJ James is going to be on the team. You saw how they treated him in the last preseason game. He was treated like Alex Austin, played a few snaps in the first 1 or 2 series, immediately checked out. He's had a really good camp. He's had a really good preseason. In the one game that he played, he had the interception. So I really like DJ James. And then this cornerback 6 spot. Miles Battle played well in the season finale last year against the Bills. But he's been beat a few times. He's made a few plays. Toss up for him. Kobe Minor has no shot of making this team. 7th round pick. Don't love Kobe Minor. Don't love the attitude, the vibes. That's not a great word, but that he gives off. And then Brandon Crossley's made some plays. Yesterday I said I didn't understand why he made it farther than Polk, but after some further consideration, I understand why. Polk did not have a great game and didn't do enough all summer, but Crossley has attacked the football, which is one of Mike Vrabel's key values. And I think if they are going to put a 6th corner, it's going to be Crossley. So I'm not going to put him on yet, but we'll see for now. Right now we got 44 players, so he might be on this team. All right, I'm going to go to defensive end. Truman Jones, Elijah Ponder, both on this team. I have some notes on both of those guys. All right, let's start with Elijah Ponder, a guy from Cal Poly. And then I want to read a quote about him. He is an undrafted free agent. This is from Mike Smith, the Patriots outside linebackers coach, on Elijah Ponder. All right, Mike Smith. He's got this very rare ability of picking up things quick and looks like he's done it from day one. Has an extremely bright future, probably one of the best free agent pickups I've ever seen. So that is his positional coach praising him significantly. So I think he is going to make the team. He's looked good. He's made some plays. And then also Truman Jones, the third-year player out of Harvard, played lacrosse at Harvard. He was an off-season award winner, so I think Truman Jones can make this team. He also has a really good repertoire with... Is that even the word that I'm looking for? That is not the word that I'm looking for. He has a really good rapport. He has a really good rapport with Patriots head coach Mike Vrabel. So I think both those guys make the team, as well as Keon White, who has lost his job to Kaylavon Chason, a first-round pick from 2019 from LSU, who went to the Jaguars, looked like a bust, Came back last year with the Raiders, had 5 sacks, his best year by far, and now he's looking like the Patriots' starting outside linebacker. So really loved what I've seen from Chason. And he's beaten out Keon White, who played and did not play well. In the Giants game. He played significant time, did not play well in the Giants game. All right, let's go defensive tackle. Barmore and Tonga are locks. Tonga, I don't have to explain Barmore. Tonga was going to be I've talked about this yesterday, but he has been able to do it in the pass rush. He's been able to do it in the run defense, which is what he was brought in for. But he talks about how he just learned how to use his size, and it just kind of clicked for him this offseason. So in camp, we've seen it that materialize, and we've seen him be a better pass rusher. So let's see if he can continue to carry that over into the regular season. I have Joshua Farmer on the team. A guy that flashed against the Giants, a guy that flashed all spring long. He flashed in the beginning of the summer. And yeah, so I have him on the team. And then I got Jeremiah Farmer on the team as well. I think you need defensive line depth, defensive tackle depth. So 4 for now. I don't think Ritzy makes it. I don't think David Olajiga makes it either. Inside linebacker. Don't have Tavai on the team. Maybe he'll be one of those Kendrick Bourne IR spots. Gibbons I have on the team. Spillane I have on the team. Mapu I have on the team, actually. And I also have Ellis on the team. So Gibbons, a guy that I thought he looked pretty good all summer long, all preseason long. I didn't expect him to be as good. He stood up a few guys. He had this one really, really nice play on a screen to Lan Larison where I don't even know if he hit him, but Larison just ran straight into him. He went down. So you see the physicality there. You see the big body of Gibbons showing off. And then Ellis, a guy that was one of your best linebackers last year. Marte Mapu, he flashed in the Giants game. He is I don't remember what it's called, but I think it's like the pump protector where, last year was Del Pettis, but there are 2 guys. All right, I'm explaining. You know what this is, I think. But if you don't, there's guys on the line of scrimmage on the punt. There's 2 gunners. There's 2 guys here behind the line of scrimmage. And then sometimes there's a guy maybe a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right, behind the guys that are in the intermediate level. And then there's a punter behind him. And Marte Mapu's been the guy, and I don't want to get this wrong. He's either been one of the 2 guys behind the line of scrimmage, or he's been that one guy. I think he's been that one guy. That's what the pump protector is. But yeah, so Marte Mapu, pivotal role, green dot last year in his first game back, or his first game in 2025. So I like him. All right, I'm going to go ahead and make a decision that I decided on 33 minutes and 27 seconds into the podcast. But I have Landry, Chason, and I have Anthony Jennings on the roster, but that's not the decision. Now I have 53 guys, but maybe I want to throw on another guy. And for that, I'm going to take Braden Swinson off my roster. So Swinson's a guy that's shown 2, maybe 3 flashes all of the preseason. Hasn't been great in camp, wasn't great in the spring. 5th round pick, you can afford to cut him. I don't think he makes the team. I just don't think he's played well at all. I just don't think he's done enough. So I don't have him on this team. And now we're going to go back to the offense. And I am, in fact, I don't know. Should I go Baker? I think I'm going to go Jamaica. No, I'm going to go Javon Baker. Javon Baker makes this team. The 53rd player on this roster, Javon Baker. And I have him on this team over Jermichael Hasty because I simply think Jermichael Hasty can be a practice squad player. He can get to the practice squad. More so than Javon Baker, because you look at Hasty. Hasty was on his couch 2 weeks ago. Patriots sign him when they get some running back depth issues ahead of the game against the Vikings. And I think you get him on the practice squad and call him up a few times. So my 53-man roster, Drake May, Joshua Dobbs, Stevenson, Gibson, Henderson, Henry, Hooper, Westover, but we'll add a tight end maybe and cut Westover. Or we'll cut Baker. at wide receiver if we want to add another tight end. But wide receiver, we have Diggs, Douglas, Booty, Hollins, Chisholm, Williams, and Baker. Center, I have Bradbury and I guess Jared Wilson. At guard, I have Mike Onwenu, Caden Wallace, and Ben Brown. At tackle, I have Will Campbell, Morgan Moses, Fadarian Lowe, and Marcus Bryant. On the defensive side of the ball, I got Keon White, Milton Williams, Truman Jones, and Elijah Ponder. Defensive tackle, Christian Barmore, Joshua Farmer, Kyrus Tonga, and Jeremiah Farms. Inside linebacker, got Jack Gibbons, Robert Spillane, Christian Ellis, and Marte Mapu. At outside linebacker, I have Harold Landry, Caleb Chason, Anthony Jennings. At cornerback, I got 5, Christian Gonzalez, Carlton Davis, Alex Austin, Marcus Jones, and DJ James. At strong safety, I have Del Pettison, Kyle Duggar. At free safety, I have Jabril Peppers, Craig Woodson, and Jalen Hawkins. On my special teams, I have Behringer as the punter, Ashby as the long snapper, John Parker Romo as the kicker, and finally Brendan Schooler as my gunner. And that'll do it for the Patriots Real Time Podcast. I'll be back on Tuesday. Follow me on Instagram at Patriots3. Follow Austin at Austin Ray. Follow the podcast, YouTube, Spotify, and Instagram, Patriots Real Time. And that's it. So, see you on Tuesday. And, yeah.